This edition of the Ridley Report is brought to you by MindThings.com.
I haven't really fleshed out exactly what the Northeast Union political structure would look like, but I envision it having a pretty centralized government, being sort of like a somewhat more evil version of the federal government, with an inferiority complex placed in there in the mix. A little bit like Y2K Russia or Y2K Serbia, not North Korea. The wickedness of the NEU should be relatively subtle, and the decency of the INH should be imperfect. And of course, it will all get a lot grayer once real humans flood into the game, if they ever do. But this scenario should provide an opportunity to really visually explore the differences that may continue to take root on each side of the border between Massachusetts and New Hampshire. Today you already see a fair amount of that. Generally, Massachusetts, just south of the New Hampshire border, is kind of a ghost town. There are homes and buildings there, but and then they're occupied in many cases, but there's not very much commerce. Imagine that trend continuing, at least intermittently, over, say, the next 30 years, and you have a real opportunity for imagination to run wild in the game design. Now let's talk a little bit about gameplay, weaponry, non-weaponry attributes, etc. So I think I might have said in part one, I envision this as being a first-person shooter, but with a much gentler edge to it. This will be reflective of the type of warfare that I envision would occur in 2045. If you think about warfare as it's developed over the last 100 years, it's become less and less about damaging and killing the enemy, and more about PR. Now, in the absence of some civilization-ending cataclysm, I expect that trend will continue. By 2045, the kind of weaponry I envision as being pivotal would be stun devices that operate at a distance, non-lethal guided missiles, which could be fired person to person, artificial insects and hummingbirds for surveilling an enemy, interactive graffiti, personal shields, personal invisibility cloaks, flying cars. There might be signature readers, devices that can determine a person's identity by reading their body heat. Anyway, traditional weapons, lethal in nature, would exist in the game, and you could kill the enemy, but you'd have to weigh how much harm and good that would do to your side. In many cases, making a kill, just like in real life, would actually strengthen the other side. The object of the game, as I envision it, at least the victory condition, would be to achieve various types of power points or deny them to the enemy. Once one side has, say, twice as many power points as the other, the game is won by that side and resets. It'd be kind of like World War II Online meets System Shock 2, with a little bit of Mark Etchko's getting up thrown in. For instance, control over the Nashville Police Department building would render a certain number of power points, but tagging that building with graffiti would remove some of the power points. Executing a leaflet drop of some kind over a populated area would possibly remove a certain number of power points from the enemy, depending on your character's propaganda skill attribute. Maybe occupying a foreclosed home would render power points. Doing anything that tends to win neutral support would do the same. We'd have to take care to make sure that every activity you could do in the game would be just as fun as the sort of shoot 'em up that you get in Team Fortress 2 or whatnot. The same marksmanship, twitchy skills, bombing accuracy, that kind of thing would be required, but just a lot less in the way of lethal violence. A lot less so in the way of violence overall.
Have you played your fill of pro-government video games? MineThings.com could be the solution. It's free, imaginative, and you can play it entirely in your web browser. Recolonize the smothered earth, dig up cool artifacts, compete with other players in a free market scramble. Just remember to use the coupon code RIDLEY. That gives you twice the mining rate. MineThings.com